This week on Media Delta, part 1 of our look at Slayers. Media Delta, episode 57. Question: does this classic anime still hold up? Well, let's find out. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Media Delta. We're talking about a kind of biggin, maybe? Question mark? I feel like the thing we're talking about is definitely cult classic. I would probably say is apt to call this, because a while back, well, a decent while ago, we took a look at retro and Grapsy. We took a look at a SNES RPG that was based on what at the time when the game came out was a light novel. But a lot of people are more familiar with its animated adaptation, and we are talking about either it's technically Slayers, but most people just refer to it as the Slayers. But that's also, yeah, it's one of those fun little quirks of English. But yeah, we're talking about Slayers today, which is a I keep on thinking that it's older than it actually is, because the first light novels came out in like '89, I believe, and this animated series actually came out in '95, uh, which is kind of interesting when you take a look at the way the show actually looks. But we'll get into that when we, talk a little bit more on it. But yes, the Slayers is, at least to me, when anime was first getting big, this, like, at least for me, in my sense, late '90s, early 2000s, the Slayers was always just kind of one of those franchises that was like, oh, it's like that same level as like Tenchi Muyo and, like, I don't know, Inuyasha maybe, Love Hina, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, this was definitely a gate, or a kind of a gate, not gatekeeping, but like a entry
Gateway.
level anime, for a lot of people who are getting into it over here. Um, so yeah, um, I'm gonna stop rambling on about it, because we watched um, the first season, which Slayers is a franchise that pretty much every rendition has its own name. The first season of the animated show is just called Slayers. So we are taking a look at the first half of that. And also, just to clarify, because we're not going to spend a huge amount of time. This will be a two-part kind of look at it, but because I think it's 26 episodes in this whole thing. Uh, we are actually, and because of this show is actually pretty good about telling what happens in previous episodes, we actually watched the odd numbered episodes of this. So just a bit of fair warning, we watched basically up to episode 13 of this series, and so like 1, 3, 5, the odd ones. I need to stop talking. Please introduce yourselves, everyone who's in this.
Last, Axe arrives to give an opinion.
Hello, I'm Donut.
Hello, I'm Norman Rafferty, and justice will prevail.
Hi, I'm Torpid Typus, and I'm here to tell you about my deep-seated love of gremlins.
Yes. So yeah, a very kind of basic overview of what Slayers is. Slayers is a story about one magician named Alina Inverse, who is very, very much looking. Basically, her goal in life is to get that bank and do it however she needs to do it.
Get that money.
Um, in this particular adaptation, she is accompanied by a dumbass named Gory, who is also
Gowry,
a
thank you. It's
Gowry,
Gowry Gabriev.
Gowry Gabriel.
who is basically a fighter and not an elf,
Big,
despite how much he looks like.
big fucking himbo energy.
Yes.
Voiced by Brock.
Yes.
I couldn't not.
Mhm.
That's all I could hear when I heard
I
him
know,
talk was
it's-
fucking Brock.
It's great, isn't it?
No, it wasn't. I couldn't. I just couldn't deal with it because he didn't change his voice at all. It was
I
literally
love
just his
Action
Brock
Brock.
voice.
Was this before Pokemon? Because then what if that was just like...
This might have actually been around the same time now that I think. No,
Yeah,
this would have
yeah.
been slightly before, I think.
Pokemon was
Oh.
later. I think it was like. I thought the Pokemon was '99.
Oh
So I
yeah,
guess now we know what
that's
Brock
right.
was doing.
Yeah, I believe it is 99. So yes, this was before, but not by much.
It was 99 in the US.
All right. So yeah, there are two particular voices that stick out. We got let's see, we got uh, let's see, yeah, it's
I mean,
Eric
Lena is
Stewart.
voiced by Lisa
Yeah,
Ortiz.
Lena as Lisa Ortiz, who is or was I don't know if she's still. I think she still is. Maybe
I think she still gets work, but not as much as she used to.
she's not. That's right. That she was it for a time. Amy Rose for a lot of the Sonic stuff. If I remember, I know she like I think in like Adventure era.
Yeah, I
Um,
see. She voiced Oshawott in Pokemon.
hmm.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
it's her. Wow, she actually still does a lot of work, but mostly it's as bit characters at this point.
yeah. Let's see.
She's
But
in
yeah,
Fire Emblem Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
She's in
Everybody's in
Street
that.
Fighter 5.
Who's she in Street Fighter?
Noembaloo.
She's Izanami in Smite.
huh. But yeah, she is still doing stuff. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, the other name, especially for this early part, I'm sure that's going to be someone's thing that they want to bring up, so I'll keep it to a minimum. But uh, there's a reason why the voices change a little bit in later seasons, just a little bit.
They
Uh,
change significantly. One of them after 3 episodes.
yeah, um, yeah. So let's just kind of we're gonna go round robin, just kind of each at first tell basically what did you think of these set of episodes, and then if you have once we're done with that, if you have anything else you want to bring up, we can go ahead and talk about that. So, X, what did you think of your viewing of the first half of Slayers?
Honestly, pretty surprising actually, because it's an old anime. It's really old, and wasn't sure if it was gonna really hold up as well. But I actually really did enjoy it quite a lot. I was actually kind of annoyed that we were only doing the um the odd episodes because I wanted to watch the whole thing.
And
Uh,
nobody stopped you.
I didn't have the time.
I
Yeah,
stopped him. I said there's no more.
I
We
just
have
didn't
to
have the
stop
time
it.
to watch them all. So, but it
And did you at least watch the one episode we recommend you watch?
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I at least finished the arc.
yeah, that's the problem with doing it like that is the fact that it's like, well, we're getting it doesn't make sense to start on 2, but also we're gonna miss the arc then, or the end of the arc.
Yeah,
Even though 11 does kind of tell you about, like, what happened previously.
Yeah, but it's worth seeing the scenes.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
in fact, I'm wondering why you watched it that way when there's actually some pretty definable arcs that end in early ones. You could have just watched like 1 through 9 and then another arc and another one.
yeah, I'm kind of
Possibly.
surprised we didn't do like just straight up 1 through 10 and just do the whole arc on its own. But
That's
It
a
was
lot to
also
watch.
it also it 1, it was a lot to watch, 2, 'cause I try and keep it 7 episodes for these kind of sets.
hmm,
Also, I'm not actually super familiar with the Slayers, so, I didn't know which ones to kind of pick.
yeah, that's fair. But still like that's just calling attention to how good this show is that I actually wanted to watch outside if I had the ability to watch outside of what was what was assigned to us to for lack of a better term. Uh, but I really really enjoyed watching what we did. I didn't like some of the characters. I'll be honest. They're a little uh they're a little boring. I keep forgetting the knight's name. It's voiced by Brock.
No, Gary.
Gary.
Gary. Gary.
Yeah.
um, but I just for some reason I just didn't like his character all that much, and the voice acting for Gel, I forget his full name. but the guy who was bad but then turned good.
Oh,
Zelgatus?
Zelgatus.
Zelgatus, yes. That was his voice acting was
Gonna
kind of
take a second to whisper in your ear.
it's very like listless, almost like he was.
He is one of the characters that changes voices later on to fucking Crispin Freeman.
Yes.
Because he was just sounded very tired throughout the entire thing, and it's just kind of like not really clicking with that. But little minor quibbles here and there aside, it's a pretty solid anime, and I could see why it would be considered more of a gateway into other anime at the time. And visually, it held up pretty well. I was surprised that it wasn't bloody. There was plenty of violence and people getting holes shot in them and cut up, but like no blood, no gore.
There was a brief bit of like a little bit of blood.
Yeah.
Slightly.
It was like Danganronpa blood though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that very, like very, like
Stylized.
it's violent, but not stylized.
Yeah, it's not straight up just it's violent, but it's not like gory, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of like anime of that um things like that. Uh so yeah. Um yep. Let's see. Um yeah. Uh did you have anything else you wanted to mention?
No.
All right. Donut.
All right, sound okay? Good to go.
Yep.
All right, cool. I've really thought it was really charming. I was really expecting how charming Slaves was going to be going back to it. It really reminded me of just like, and you know what? I really like the way we watched it. When I was a kid, I never really got to watch like anime consistently. It'd always be like, well, I caught episodes 1, 5, 7, 8, but let me go back and catch up. But it really gave me a lot of feels of like just classic anime tropes, like I was really big into like the Tale series and shit like that. So all the big hair, big swords, dumb himbo energy, crazy mages, I loved all of it. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. So I've got a lot of positive things to really say about it. I mean the voices were pretty hit and miss, but they changed voice actors, so that's not too bad. I've really got a lot of nice things to say about it. That's all I've really got for my first one.
All right. Rafferty.
I love this anime. This was one of the early entries, and I'm old enough to remember anime clubs. They don't do anime clubs anymore, right? People just watch them on YouTube.
Occasionally they will.
Okay, but I mean, we were watching this undubbed and fan subbed. And then, of course, later, this is one of the first anime that everybody complains. I think Lisa Ortiz does a very singular job, but I think there's sometimes when the other actors. This is from that time period where anime was just coming over, so they've got like non-Screen Actors Guild people or under assumed names or whatever. This is before the anime explosion. You're right. I was a little surprised. I didn't realize that Slayers is pretty late. That's 95. That means it's after Berserk. It's after Bastard. It's after Record of Lotus War. So this comes in pretty late, but I'm glad people are enjoying it because I would agree that Slayers stands up better because it's more accessible. It's not very padded. Like even the bottle episodes move at a regular clip. And the humor is fast enough and broad enough and doesn't wear out its welcome that it moves at a pretty brisk pace. And also this is like the last gasp of 90s, I guess, character design because this is Ryu Arizumi, and this kind of giant head eyeball type design is about to disappear because in the 2000s this becomes kind of passé. And so I was happy to see this kind of design where the costumes are still elaborate, but not insanely so. And the characters strike a variety of poses. I mean, this is just fun. I would recommend this if you want to recommend a fantasy anime to anyone, I think this stands up because it's fun, and yeah, I mean, I guess I could talk more in some of the other parts, but I love this anime.
All right, Torpo.
I fucking love the Slayers. So for reference, my experience, my original experience with the Slayers was I originally I caught a few episodes here and there for a while, and then at one point just a strange TV channel appeared called the Funimation channel. And at one point, while they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do and how to structure their stuff, they just ended up playing through all of the Slayers for a while, and I fucking watched it and fell in love with it. It was it's really good. I do think the later season stuff is better, but the initial stuff is also very good. It's also important to note that the anime comes in a little into the light novels, because light novels started in '89,
Mhm.
which is important to note. But yeah, it comes, if memory serves, like a little ways in, and yeah, we meet Lena, the Bandit Slayer,
The
is her
Dragon
nickname.
Speaker,
They use that nickname once and never again,
because it's
because
kind of
it's
dumb.
terrible.
Like other things that appear in these first episodes that they bring up and
Yeah,
never mention again for good reasons.
we can talk about that later.
Yeah, and you guys know that the movies have a slightly different continuity, right?
I did not know that.
I figured they all kind of were their own thing because they all kind of take their own pace, but yeah.
Well, specifically, there's characters who only appear in the movies and never in the series.
Mhm. Like Naga, for example.
Wasn't
Naga
Naga
the
OVA
Serpent being
specifically?
the singular one, yes.
Yeah, who gets references in the anime over time, but never actually really appears.
Yep.
There's even an episode where fucking Lena thinks she's gonna appear, but doesn't.
Also, don't they do that for her sister as well? But I think that's a little later on.
So the sister gets like a lot of references, but never actually appears, if memory serves. Uh, Lena's sister, Luna Inverse. Because a little bit of trivia is that originally the writer was going to write about Luna, but when making the characters, realized he liked Lena a lot, so decided to write about her adventures instead. Because as later seasons we'll get into, her sister is essentially the chosen one, to put it simply, and apparently put her through hell.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's very good. I love the Slayers. I absolutely do adore it. It's a lot of fun. I think it still holds up fairly well. It helps that it kind of just pokes fun at like a lot of those very common tropes, even if it does play into a handful of them. And also, I deeply appreciate Lena's pure gremlin energy. It speaks
Yeah.
to me.
Yes.
Yeah, Lena was probably my favorite part of it. All, mm, just that money grubbing gremlin energy. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's one of my
Well,
favorite
I mean,
tropes.
I agree that I like the fact that they're good guys, and also this is before, like nowadays, like gamer humor or RPG humor is very meta and it's everywhere. And what I really like about Slayers is the humor comes from the fact that the characters are absurd and the situations they get into. Like yeah, Lena's a money grubbing gremlin, but she also doesn't want to hurt innocent people, so they do it by accident. But when they blow up the entire city, that's played for comedic effect, and it's
Right.
fun how they overdo things.
Yeah, the flow of it. It's like before I love that. Well, I'm glad that you threw out the fact that the light novel started in '89, because just knowing that shows, or it really kind of colors a lot of the anime and games that I played as a kid and why I love them, just because it's like, well, obviously they were taking inspiration from something, but it really reminds me of like the really quick pace of old RPGs where it's like, okay, we're going to a new town, some new shit's going on, something funny happens. And then, I mean, now these days it's so just like they're so into themselves sometimes with the stories, it just drags and it gets so sullen and sad, and you're just like, where are we going? When sometimes you just need a nice little fun town adventure where you go in, try to make some money, and somebody blows up your reward and you're sad.
Look, they killed the dragon, okay?
Yeah, but what about the town?
The town was never specified in the contract.
Listen, it was implied.
If the town didn't want to be destroyed, it shouldn't have been there.
It should have gotten all the way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
so
if
that's
they
another
move it.
thing, like, quick to mention. about Lena is, yeah, Lena doesn't like her innocence, but is also a piece of shit. So instead, what she'll do is kill bandits and steal the treasure that they stole and keep it for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, she specifically reminds me of Rudy Katria from Tales of Destiny, who's just a thief who likes stealing, but she's not trying to steal from like innocent folks. She's trying to steal basically Robin Hood. Just stealing from rich folks to give to her orphanage of poor children, but she doesn't tell people about that. She might keep a little on the side. They don't need to know.
Well, I love the confusing morality because don't forget later Amelia and Prince Seiran show up.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I forget, since you watched the even number of episodes, you didn't get to say Prince Seiran's pacifist martial arts,
Oh no,
did
we
you?
watched
Oh,
the
we
odd
definitely
ones.
did. We
Yeah, we
definitely
saw
did.
that.
I love that. Kindness to all creatures punch.
Prince
No, kindness to
Seiran,
all
what a
creatures
name.
kick.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
pacifist punch. It's
What was the
really good.
kindness? What was the like kind gentleman punch?
I think there was like a suplex or something involved, like something slam, I think.
Ridiculous. It's that's what I love about it. And then he just kicks everyone's butt. It is
So
just so amazing.
it's such a good episode too because it's literally like Prince Seiran is at the end of its adventure and then just fucking Lena and Gary somehow bubble into it and just get to witness the ending without context. And it's deeply bizarre.
Yeah.
And just the quick family betrayal just out of nowhere, and then the prince just kind of takes it in stride, like almost as if he expected it. Just kind of like, yeah, this guy's kind of an ass clown.
It's also great because especially during that one segment, I was just watching it, it's like, man, this is like the most distilled like this is the most distilled like sequence of the things that people made fun of in anime like just in this like 5 minutes of that fight is like this is the thing that everyone makes fun of anime for, just taking up to about 12.
And the best part is it happens so fast. They just throw it in there. They do the weird monster summoning dances. They get in, they get out, and you could watch it even if you didn't know what those cliches were, and it would still be hilarious.
Yeah. It it's like you get your fainting after someone says something stupid, you get your big heads, you get your weird dances, you get your like close up of people's faces, you people making like weird like speeches before doing stuff. It's great.
The action scenes are really, really good.
Yes. Um yeah.
It's also really fun when you realize like half of the D&D characters you've made are fucking off-brand Lena inverse, but
That's
you know.
just you.
Look, I have a deep attachment to gremlin energy, all right? It fuels me.
Yes. Um so yeah. Is that
Said my piece for
is
now.
that good? All right. Remember
I too had a
I'm
friend in
trying
middle
to
school.
piece when well, the
Friends in middle school.
people that I was friends with that was into anime. And he showed me this series because this was like one of like this was in his like little collection of. I'm trying to remember what else he had, but it was like I want to. It wasn't like Blue Gender or Blue Seed. It was like God, what else would it have been? It wasn't like Dominion Tank Police. It's like the era of like Dominion Tank Police, but like not actually Dominion Tank Police. Just trying to think of what else.
Was it sci-fi?
I think it was it's like those sci-fi-ish things. Like I'm just trying to remember what. Anyway, but basically he was like my gateway into the series, which I never actually watched a whole lot of. I watched this intro bit, like this intro season, a fair amount, and I'm familiar with the. It's one of those things where it's like through osmosis, I am familiar with the show, but it's something I haven't actually sat down and watched. Um, because my first time watching this, I got to a certain plot point, and then I just kind of stopped watching for a little bit, um, and just never got back to it. So this was kind of my first time like watching like like sitting down and watching it, and I was very impressed. I feel like it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it's definitely good. Um, it's a very fun, just kind of romp. It's not super. like saying it's not super smart. Like I'm not trying to be like saying that you have to be smart to be good, but it's like popcorn. It's it's tasty and just it's good. Um and yeah, and another thing that I was thinking of is the fact that it just kind of I don't just kind of from what I remember seeing about later things, this series never actually gets like super dark or anything. Like this doesn't have like a trying to be edgy phase, if I remember correctly. Like,
Um, well, I mean, there's three series because there's this, Next, and Try, and then there's the movies.
well,
And
there's also Revolution now.
which I haven't seen.
Yeah,
Wow,
Revolution was 2008. That's
wow,
why.
I have more Slayers to experience. But
It's pretty good too.
no, it doesn't get super dark. It stays about the level of Saturday morning. In fact, there's the confusing thing. I don't understand why Escaflowne was imported to the US in Saturday
Oh,
morning when
that's
you could have dropped Slayers and Slayers would have been fine.
So
if I
that's the
remember
funny thing is they tried to and then dropped it because they couldn't keep it.
that's the thing that I'm pretty sure he also had Escaflowne. That's another one that I'm pretty sure he had.
Yeah,
Um,
Escaflowne did air on U.S. television, but that Escaflowne is like the opposite of this. Slayers is happy, fun, and joyful, and doesn't take itself too seriously. So when it does take itself seriously, you can get into it because you're invested. Whereas Escaflowne is slow, boring, nonsensical, and way more fan service.
I would like to say, child me thinks you're 100% correct because Excaflone was fucking slow and boring. I didn't know what the fuck was happening. Slayers, I would have loved because Escaflone, I was like, I don't know what's happening. What are these wings? Why is this girl here? What are these robots?
Yeah, Slayers episode 1. I'm Lena and I kill bandits. Hey, look, some
Got it.
bandits. I just killed them.
Wonderful. I'm in.
yeah,
You got me.
yeah. This really picks up real quick. It's actually very refreshing. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it so far. So let's kind of go around again. So, Axe, is there anything in particular you wanted to point out?
Yeah, you actually kind of brought it up. Is the pacing of it's refreshing, as you said. Like, we've watched some pretty dry, pretty boring stuff on Media Delta. This was like it got you into it right away. It told you exactly what to expect, and then no filler. That's the big thing that I actually enjoyed about this, and why I'd probably watch a lot more once I have more time is there's a distinct lack of filler. Everything seems to happen for a good reason, and there's stuff that's happening constantly. So it's not even during its slower moments. There's still stuff happening. There's jokes being told. Characters are doing different things. Um, so it tries to keep your interest, and it does a pretty good job, I'd say.
Yeah, it definitely like there's like as we kind of briefly mentioned, there are bits and pieces that are kind of like side arcs that they don't really go a whole lot into, but there's never like anything that's like just junk. There's no like um Goku and Piccolo trying to get their driver's license.
Which
There's
it's still a good episode.
it is, but
It's a
A good
wonderful
also
episode. It was
but
good for
also
character
No, no, no.
development.
The episode you want to quote is the one where Piccolo is taking Majin Buu on the long route to stall for time.
oh
I
or
hate
or
that
just about
episode.
any part from the Namek saga where Goku's laid up.
Or the planet that they went to for no reason.
man, I
Remember
don't
that
know
time
how we're
Piccolo and Goku got driver's licenses?
I
It was a
don't
wonderful episode.
I don't know how we're ever gonna do Dragon Ball Z, and I'm just
The
still
answer is we
starting to
don't.
realize that.
Just don't.
Well, I'll talk about it some other time.
Yeah,
I'd rather do Dragon Ball than Dragon Ball Z, to be honest.
Today
yeah,
we're talking about good anime.
yeah, yeah. That also yes, but anyway, you're continuing,
Um,
or
no,
or was that it?
I'd say that's pretty good. Yeah.
All right, donut.
I don't really have anything too poignant, I guess, to point out about it. Hmm. um, the character design is really fun. Um,
Yes,
It's really nice. I really miss that old aesthetic. Like just even besides like the whole giant big eyes and the fact that that one character is a blatant just like stab at Sailor Moon. That what's her little Justice girl name? The one that runs
Oh,
them out of
Amelia.
town. Amelia. Yeah, I was just like, okay, I get it. Justice and Peace Fingers. We got it. You're Sailor Moon, except an awful version of her. It just this whole anime just really makes me want to go back to the to like old Namco Bandai RPGs where everybody has huge hair and goofy voices and screams out their move names, and every mage has like a 20 sentence long incantation.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah, I think you're right on the popcorn fluff part of it. It's very I would recommend this probably to people who just like maybe want a nice little foot in the door for anime and don't want to like just jump into the deep end of whatever's new on Netflix or My Hero Academia or things like that. Like maybe they want some old Pokemon nostalgia, and I feel like this would be a nice, good entry point without like overbearing tropes or weirdness. Like Inuyasha is as long as it's been and how strangely well it's aged. There's still some parts where you're just like, is this necessary? Is this whole
Um,
arc necessary?
the one thing I would say about like Inuyasha is that that in particular has a thing where it's I mean it's Rumiko Takahashi, so she's been writing for a while, so it's part of that's gonna show up in that. But yeah,
For sure. But yeah, that's about all I've got.
all right, Rafferty.
Oh, I would definitely agree with Donut. I would suggest that if you were going to show somebody an anime from the pre-digital era, like I mean, if you're going to show people one anime, show them Cowboy Bebop. After you show them Cowboy Bebop, show them Slayers, because if they can enjoy Slayers, then you can try to show them some of like Record of Lotus War. Because as much as I love Record of Lotus War, it's way slower than Slayers. If you can't get over how Slayers looks, you're not going to be able to watch that. And then a whole bunch of other ones. And so, yeah, I agree. I love the bouncy character design. It's that old school. I mean, I don't want to rag on new anime too much. I'm an old man yells at cloud here. I think it's just fun to look at, and it's just fun. It's everything that's good. When people said anime was good because it had, it wasn't, it was semi-realistic characters, short stories you could care about, violence, awesome character design, and stuff you'd never seen before. Slayers is that.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely can agree with this being kind of a like a I don't know why I can't I don't want to for some reason the term just escapes me. It's not gatekeep, but it's like a how's the term that I'm thinking of? Um
Gateway.
gate gateway, yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a gateway kind of franchise to kind of get you into other anime because I mean, this is basically the key thing where it's like if you can if you can get through this, like I- it's you can probably at least you'll know if you're gonna like it. Like you're gonna be able to tolerate like 90s, 80s anime if you can tolerate this.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think of it, it's like a good litmus test, if anything. It's like not to like alienate newer anime or like rag on it or anything, but it's like if you're taking your friend out to eat and you're not sure if they're gonna like the restaurant you go to, you might be like, well, maybe just get the chicken fingers. Slayers is a nice chicken tender and fries meal. If they're good for that, then maybe they'll want to try something else. And then you
Yeah,
kind of just go with that.
like I'm a cranky old person, but has anybody pointed out anything they thought was kind of like problematic? Like I was
Uh,
worried I was going to see something that was going to make me wince.
uh, there's something that I'm going to
The
talk about.
period.
Oh yeah, there's that
Yeah,
one whole episode.
That was 2
there's
episodes,
two.
actually. We
Yeah, it's
skipped
two
one of them.
episodes. Y-
Yeah.
yeah, and
Episodes 4 and 5, Lena can't use magic because she's on her period.
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
not even like
Oh, geez, I forgot all about that.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I really did do once and then drop.
and that's not something that I would call problematic per se. It's just something I'd call weird.
It's a little weird. And Marvel's tried to do that. Like they tried to do that with the Runaways and they didn't carry that over to the live
So,
action show. Of course
yeah, I was
not.
gonna say,
But
That's the other thing too, is they never mention this ever again. It never becomes relevant at any point after after those 2 episodes.
Something Marvel also did. Somebody must have really loved Slayers from back
They
then.
realized it was dumb and bad.
Yeah,
Mhm. Threw it out.
Not very good. Not very good storytelling.
yeah, yeah. Like especially like that is another thing that it's like um there's like the thing about it is that this is very much a '90s series. Like there's some like things like her Lena's chest size is brought up a lot, but also it's not as bad, so to speak, as like a
I
lot
mean,
of
it's
like
modest, but they keep calling her flat, and it's weird.
yeah,
And
keep calling her flat, and it's great because she gets flatter with every single or see each additional franchise.
but it's also a little uncomfortable because in this adaptation, she's 15. So for people to
Oh, is
be
she?
yeah,
So
so
I think I looked and I think she's 15 in the novels and she's 18 in the anime.
okay,
They
Okay.
drop reference to her being 15 in the end.
Huh. Or maybe Wikipedia is lying to me.
it could be,
Well,
but
no,
still, the intent is there, and it's very uncomfortable that there are people still like
Yeah.
ogling her at that age.
no,
Mm.
it's fun. It's better when Gowry keeps mistaking her for a boy. That's kind of funny because she's kind of tomboyish. But I don't think that's dated very well either.
Yeah, well, I think like in the English of the like first was like a little girl or something like that.
Okay,
A
so she
child.
debuts around 14, and around the end of the novels and anime, she's 18.
Okay, so
Oof.
around the end of the anime or at the anime?
Around the end of the animes.
Okay, so I misread that.
No, excuse me,
So
around the end of the novels and anime, so I'm not quite sure how you can really get that one, but yeah.
she's young. We'll see, leave it at that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not a
She is an
debate, but
anime
okay.
protagonist in the
Regarding the
90s.
anime, a good rule of thumb is to remember that first series she's 15, and next she's 16, and Try she's 17, and Revolution and Evolution R she's 18.
Okay, that's a
yeah.
little
Okay, so
okay.
it's
That's
kind of
why.
like a
Oh, go
normal
ahead.
Sailor Moon progression. Like every year, just another age.
That's why I would suggest this is a good gateway because if you saw that and said, "Hey, I'm creeped out by this," every other anime you will ever watch is creepier than this.
Yeah, because
Yep.
Exactly. Straight up.
that's a lot of it is in the vein of like just like poking and prodding about like insecurities. It's not like I don't think anyone really like she crushes on other people, but I don't think a whole lot of people crush on her.
Oh, and they make fun of her crushing,
Or
like she wants
fear
to marry
her.
a prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they even make fun of like her perception of the prince to the point where she's like denying the existence of the actual prince she meets because he looks like a fucking goblin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was not about that life.
And
Yeah,
she,
I like. Oh, go ahead.
I was
I
just
was
gonna
gonna
say she
mention.
hyped him up.
Oh,
She
go ahead.
hyped him up ahead of seeing him, and then upon seeing him, just kind of loses it.
Honestly, my favorite thing about how people perceived her were just well, more so than just like, oh, look at this idiot trying to get our money. It was the fear. She commanded so much fear in people, and I love that. It's just like you're walking down the street and you're just like, oh, who's in Lena's in oh shit. Shit, we gotta go. We can't stay
Yeah,
here.
I mean, bandits are afraid of the reputation. People that they save, the few people that they successfully save, are grateful. The people that she annoys are annoyed. Everyone has believable reactions. There's never anything like in here that just comes out of nowhere.
Right.
I do want to mention one of my favorite bits is the one where they're in the bar plotting what to do about Rizzo, and they pan over to the barkeep and I guess his daughter or whatever, and they're sitting there going, "Man, I wish they would leave so we could close up."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a wonderful little cast. I see to bring it up once more, it's just looking at this anime and then going back to like Tales of Destiny, they really just ripped off almost every character wholesale. Because
Um
the main character is Gowry. Lena comes in almost immediately. They have the same dynamic, except it's a little more romantic, but still.
Okay, I won't go into that, but as the series goes on, they get closer.
Okay, so then it's the same.
It's never like an overt. It's never an overt romance, but they definitely get closer over the series. But yeah,
yeah.
I feel that.
Um Also if we're talking about like video game like kind of takes on the Slayers, there's a lot more blatant one in the game Popful Mail, which
Yeah, I
is
was about to say that for sure.
Yeah, male is Lena inverse without the magic, essentially. Basically, an Adol like, what if Adol and Lena inverse, which even Adol is well, no, because Adol predates Lena,
What
but
if they did the fusion dance?
yeah. But you got like Tato being like basically Tato is it's basically what if the roles of like Gowry being like the for D&D terms the fighter and Lena being the wizard were reversed, where you have male being the fighter and Tato being the mage, and Gao is Gao. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what? I forgot whose point was going on.
I think we're on Torpid.
Oh, we're on me now. Uh, this show's good. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember what I was gonna say. I completely lost it. But yeah, so basically to clarify what we watched, to give a bit more context. We watched the first the first arc, which was uh the Red Priest Rezo kind of arc. He definitely doesn't make appearances later on. But and sort of him containing the a piece of the spirit of Ruby Eyes Shabalaba Ding Dong. Uh
Oh, Dynasty.
Yeah.
Shady
yeah.
Nasty. He was
Shabnakadoo.
great. He was wonderful. I love Shibling Long.
Uh, and also it kind of codifies certain things about the magic in the universe, such as they all draw upon higher powers. So like black magic draws upon Shibby Dibby.
Shabra Dingo.
Yeah.
Shabradingdo.
Yeah.
Uh, and
That's a,
things like that. Hmm?
it's such a fantasy ass villain name. That's like
It's
it
the
looked
worst name.
like
Shivel Rebel.
they just put like they rolled some kanji dice and basically Shabernigno came
Well,
up.
all the names are like that. I
Shabradingdo.
mean, Gowry is terrible, and his last name's even more unpronounceable.
Yeah,
Gabriev.
why is he have a Russian last name?
Because fantasy. Because if you're not Japanese, these all sound equally fantasy.
Sure.
Lena Inverse's name is a mathematical formula.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Once again, her sister's name is Luna. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically all the spells draw upon higher powers and the like. Specifically, they don't go. I don't think they go into it in these first arcs, but essentially, their world is dominated by two different forces. It's the fucking Shibby Dibby, and fuck, what's his name? The dragon, the flare dragon Seyfried, of which her sister Luna Inverse actually has a piece of its spirit. Hence why I said she's kind of like the chosen one.
Huh.
And she's very big, very mean, and Lena fears her to this very day. But
Yes.
yeah, so it's sort of like an off-brand D&D setting, kinda. Like they even use the fucking classic fireball.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like as explicit as say Record of Lodoss War, which literally was based on a D&D campaign. But yeah, you could it's very if I'm pretty sure I don't think they actually went in ahead and said it, but if you said that this was based off of exploits in a D&D campaign, it'd be totally believable.
They're all beautiful creatures.
Yes.
But yeah, as it goes on, it sort of expands the universe. But it's all neat. So yeah, we get the first arc, which introduces Lena and her big spell, the Dragon Slave, which is actually the Dragon Slayer, but got corrupted over time. And then we see the Giga Slave, which we learn draws upon a higher power that at that point is only hinted at, the Lord of Nightmares.
Yeah.
Which who knows about that?
Also in between that, Gowry gets a lightsaber.
Gowry had the lightsaber, but chose not
Oh,
to
yeah.
use the lightsaber. Instead, pretended it was a normal fucking sword.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we get Zelgadis, who kind of disappears after the first arc for a little while, but does appear a lot more later on and becomes a recurring character.
Yep.
Like part of the main cast, I should say. And
Uh,
things go on between him and whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, so we get our good buddy Zelgadis, who was essentially cursed by the Red Priest Risotto, uh, to have a chimera form where his skin is made of rock, making him also resistant to magic, as well as physical attacks.
Yeah, he's half human, half troll, half golem.
Yep. Yeah, 3 halves.
That if you're asking, this is based on a D&D game. That's the power gamer who showed up that day.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, but he gets his time in the limelight. He doesn't actually really do anything in the grand scheme of things, and then fucks off. And then we get to the second arc, which is sort of, I don't go too much into it because we only got up to the 13th episode, which is like not even halfway through. That's just a couple episodes into the arc. But yeah, in that one we get approached by some 2 mysterious figures who put out a bounty on Lena, and then Amelia's a dipshit, whatever.
Yeah, we have seen enough of Amelia in these 2 episodes to realize she's kind of dumb.
Lena, like Amelia is the pinnacle of the whole lawful stupid kind of thing,
Yeah,
to the point where even she says justice always wins, so whoever wins this fight must be correct. When Lena gets into a fight with one of the mysterious figures who put out the bounty, and
That's why she got kicked out of town, her dumb ass.
yeah, she got kicked out of town by her dad because she leveled part of the fucking city, being a dipshit. And so that's essentially where we got. So yeah, the first arc's pretty fun. It definitely does a lot to establish the characters in the world, in ways that are meaningful. While not going too in depth, it's the later stuff that really starts going heavily in depth, like explaining more about Luna Inverse. Aside from the fact that all we know about Luna up to this point is that she beat the shit out of her sister. Because at one point, Lena just drops a reference to Luna in that she's has a shock circlet on her that'll shock her every time she casts magic, and she even says, "This is nothing compared to what my sister did," as she just casts her way through the shocks anyway.
The circlet of lightning shocks is also yet another thing stolen blatantly by Namco Bandai for Tales of Destiny wholesale. There was no change. They just put lightning bracelets on everybody's face and said, "All right, you do what we say."
yeah,
But yeah, so there's definitely a bit of world building, not quite the extent it'll get later, but it drops bits and pieces here to try and separate itself out. So it's not just like straight up D&D stuff.
yeah.
And I could say more. I know a lot more about it, but I'll try to keep it to this for now.
We're gonna have another
We
episode
have
on
another
this, so
episode.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
More
But yeah.
adventures of the Slayers coming at you.
Yep.
But I do mean it when I say that, like, Lena is, to me at least, like the quintessential D&D character. Like, not the kind that takes it too seriously, but when you want to just play a shithead like I do all the time.
Yes.
Like instead of someone who's just playing it strictly straight, it's more like someone who's so saying having fun with the game is a really mean way of putting it, but taking it a lot more lightheartedly than
Yeah. You just want to do the cool shit.
They're finding they're going at the task that's given to them, but they're finding their own flavorful way of doing it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a lot more lighthearted to take. In other words, instead of just trying to be super serious all the time, she is a gremlin through and through.
Yes.
I love Lena. I love
yeah.
her.
She's great. Also, the people who made Dota love her as well.
Oh God, yeah. You want to mention that? Sure.
Yeah. So yes, if you are someone who plays Dota and are wondering, hey, there's a character named Lena that's a red-headed sorceress. Is that named after the same thing? Yes, it is. On the original Defense of the Ancients mod, uh, her things are it's straight up Lena inverse, up to and including her ult, I believe, is Dragon Slave. So that's yes. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, no, so that's another thing. This series is incredibly influential.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yep.
Like I can't say for certain just the extent, but I know it's incredibly, extremely influential.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, but I worry that this is like disappeared because people still talk about Evangelion, and
I was saying,
I think Slayers has just kind of been like folded into all the layers of tropes that is
I was
anime
gonna say
at this point.
Also Motivate for its time, I guess you could say. It was
Yeah.
influential at its time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
and
older
then
people like me right remember this, but these days, I'll hear people talk about Gundams or Evangelion, and I thought Slayers, like I was surprised that you're reviewing it because I was pretty sure that Slayers just kind of just disappeared, or like Cowboy Bebop, because Cowboy Bebop was the big one that showed up on Toonami and it's accessible, and then like this anime is more than like 25 years old. Like nowadays, modern anime has much better color production and a lot better value. Well, at least it has better production value. I would argue this still has beautiful animation
Yeah,
because
for sure.
yeah, it's got a lot of frames they don't reuse a lot. Like dot hack may look better, but it's a cost saving one. There's not a lot of the lazy tricks, but anyway, yeah. I mean, I thought people had just forgotten about this.
I feel like I feel you on that. Like I thought like this kind of thing was lost, but the more like I watched Slayers, the more I was like, shit, this is really just in almost everything I watch to this day. Like I mean, to go back once again, I don't know how Tales would still be a thing if people didn't watch the Slayers. Like even as you were talking about like Lena and Verse being in Dota and shit like that. It's like every character archetype that Namco Bandai uses is pretty much just a Slayer's trope. And a lot of older JRPGs that have kind of resurfaced kind of still just use those same traits. So I kind of think of it's like it hasn't disappeared, but it's just kind of evolved into a different format.
Kind of stop me if I get ugly here, but when I've seen a lot of fantasy animes, you've got the one boy who's everyone identifies with, the older boy who might be more sophisticated, and then the three harem girls: the butch girl, the nerd girl who dumps all the exposition, and the creepily underage cutesy girl. Because I see that a lot in your Namco Bandai's.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's also in Sword Art Online. That's in a
Yeah.
lot of animes.
Yeah.
Whereas in Slayers, you don't have any of that.
Well, with
Yeah.
I'm thinking more like specifically Lena, because like with Lena, if we like eschewing like all those other like cutesy anime girls, like Tales of Vesperia, Rita is basically just Lena with a scarf. She does all of her like she does all of her spells with math. It's beautiful. It's all explosions. Or even at like Tales of Vesperia, which I think is kind of like a finally coming back to our roots with Velvet. Besides her weird outfit choice, it's just the fear she commands, but then also like the human nature of it, where she doesn't want to just be like fully evil and murder everybody. There's all this
Oh no,
conflict
I
going
would.
on.
I think
I like that.
the Tales are the standout. For every Tales, there's a Valkyria Chronicles, which is exactly like what I just described.
Oh, Valkyria Chronicles. Yeah, I'll just turn away from that one. Or that one that just came out again. What was the old Sakura Wars? That just had another.
Oh,
That just came out
yeah.
again.
Yeah, I mean that's what people. Those are bigger, high-profile things, and that's where I personally find Slayers to be a breath of fresh air, because like even though Amelia is naive, she's naive in the way that a kid might be naive, and she actually wants to fight. And Lena
Yeah.
is quirky, but she doesn't have all the answers. Gowry is a total inversion. He's not any of the usual stereotypes that you see in these kinds of characters. He's not a lech. He's not a braggart. I mean, he like deliberately downplays that he has a sword of light. He's deliberately. He's also there to help people. So if somebody needs help, he does. You almost never see care. And of course, Zelgadis is detached, but he still cares about like beating up evil people. It's and it's not. I mean, maybe later it gets more romantic involved, but this isn't like Asha, where the romance triangle is dumped in your face immediately. It's a lot more action adventure.
Yep.
I do have to kind of raise a counterpoint to Gowry not being a lech, because the very first time he meets up with Lena, he spends a good amount of time talking about her breasts.
True.
And
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
of
but I think he does
his
that because he's a jerk.
yeah, but he's still
He's a dummy.
lecherous, because his entire point of trying to save her is because he wanted to save someone with big breasts. Like he's very
Oh, yeah.
lecherous.
He's a teenage anime protagonist, boy. Bless his
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is a battle with there's no winners, because I'm about to like invoke some other anime that are worse, and it's like we
Well,
don't want to talk about anime that are
Well,
worse.
to like
Good
to take a sidestep. what really struck me when I was watching this whole thing is just for some reason the whole time I watched all the animation, all the little story beats, I wanted to go back and play Lunar or just like check out some old game art
Oh,
stuff.
God, yeah, yeah,
It
that
didn't
one
somebody
also is,
the Fantasy Star?
What about Fantasy Star?
um,
Well,
I go ahead.
I want to say like they've got anime armor. Like before WoW happened. Like WoW, like World of Warcraft was probably influenced by this because they had the polygons and stuff. But like if you look at like EverQuest or earlier fantasy stuff, there's either a lot of attempts to make realistic armor, or for a while overlapping triangles were in. But Slayers is very much from the Fantasy Star and Ys
Yep.
school, where everyone's dressed like a Sentai character, where they've got the big shoulder pads,
Yeah, it's
chest guard,
awesome.
and the crotch guard. You know, so they're a lot more Sentai inspired, and it's a very unique anime thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very cool. I really like all the designs with all the big chunky armor. I miss that a lot these days. It's like even though I do like a lot of the like cool, sleek bodysuit armors that we have these days, sometimes I just want like a big old chunky set of armor. You know? Just give me a big old helmet, give me the Dark Souls Knights outfit. I'm set.
I will say one thing I do appreciate is like all of the designs, like all of the gear for everyone is very reasonable actually.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fan service character doesn't appear in the series, and I'm okay with
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah. Naga does not show up, which Naga basically they basically dumped all of that into that one character.
Yeah, and she's played for laughs in the movies, but I think it's I think it's even funnier that she doesn't show up in the TV series.
Naga's design is just so ridiculously we actually see her in that SNES RPG. She does show up there. She's so ridiculously over the top in that kind of regard that it is comical.
I mean, if you're wondering where WayForward got their entire aesthetic, there you go.
Yes, except at least Naga's of age.
Yeah, I'm looking at the character now, and ooh,
Yeah,
boy,
she has a
very,
lot of she's
very
very
averse to
very
Oh,
clothing.
we have to see the movies. The movies are amazing.
she also has the Ojo-sama laugh because of course she does. Ah, ho, 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 ho.
Yeah, no, it's really good because she only appears one time in the main series, like the main animes, which is an Evolution R, where her spirit possesses an armor, so you never actually see her.
Yeah. God, wouldn't she also? She wouldn't be one of like Naga isn't one of like the progenitors of that. That's got to have been older than that, hasn't?
What?
The
Uh-oh.
ho the Ojo-sama laugh.
Oh
That's
no,
gotta
wait,
be
That's
older.
older.
Yeah, that's
that's from Sentai.
okay. Yeah. Um. Uh. Did anyone else have any other points? Because I think
Why is there no
we've
talking swords? Do any talking swords eventually show
I
up?
will delete you, donut.
Please, I need them.
Yeah.
I will say actually really quick is the character designs are actually pretty solid because you can recognize everyone at a glance. It's
Mhm.
never in question who's who. It's not like they all have
Yeah.
same designs or anything like that. They're all
No,
very distinct.
I
All the
want to.
silhouettes are solid.
Lena says Amelia doesn't look like she's related to Prince Seirun because they
But
definitely look
they have
related.
the same hair.
They have the same
Like,
hair, the same head shape, and well, the same
they
clothes.
dress the same, yeah. She
yeah
doesn't look like a fucking troll.
yeah
She lacks his signature unibrow.
It's a very powerful unibrow, though.
He's a
it
very
is
powerful man.
is extraordinarily powerful.
Peacefully powerful.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, did we do I forget, was the ghost episode odd numbered one?
No.
Where they reveal all the ghosts? Okay.
No, that one was not, unfortunately.
Okay, that's one of my favorites, but I also realize it's kind of creepy. Okay, then I have nothing else to talk about. The show's great. Go watch the show.
Yep.
Also, there's like other like neat things they do. Like Seirun has a leader who is super gung ho about justice, and his daughter is super gung ho about justice, and they actually show that off in the city itself because there's absolutely chock full of fucking vigilantes. They make a joke about it actually in the episode with the bounty because they keep like Lena and Gowry have the bounties put on them. They keep getting approached by these vigilante groups, these various knights or what have you, trying to get them over and over, and it's good. It's like there's
Yeah.
just a lot of little things that I really appreciate.
It's that diegetic humor that comes out of the situation. It's not too meta. It's totally accessible. It's immediate and it's funny and it pays off. I love it.
And
Mhm.
the show doesn't lean into anything cringe. That's the biggest thing that I appreciate so far. Is just there's none of that stuff that you get in anime that just makes you kind of want to turn it off and watch something else. It keeps you engaged with its characters and stories. Its little sense of humor. It's not too much either with the sense of humor. It could very easily just kind of tip the scale over and just be not funny, but they know when to they land a joke well, and they know when to kind of back off it.
Yes.
They have my two favorite jokes in anime, which is where one character is in way over their head and doesn't realize it. Because we had the episode with Zald, right, where Zald attacks Turbinado.
That's is that the
Yeah, sorry, I watched them all in order, so I forget which ones were random.
I was gonna say that's the guy who was wrapped up that in the attacking the Wolfman,
No,
right?
no. Zalt is the one where when Turbinado first appears, he says, "Hey, there's been hundreds of years since you've been imprisoned. Magic must have improved by then. I'm just going to go ahead and kill you." And then he gets destroyed.
That was Zolf. Yeah, no, that was during the revival of Shabnakadu. That was episode 9.
Right.
Yeah.
That I love is, or the usurpers who are like talking about how they're going to take Prince Seiren's like thing, and like we'll just summon anyone. You know, they literally say, "Okay, we summon anyone," because they're almost out of everybody. It's that thing where people are in over their head, or the thing we talked about where the bandits like are scared to death of Lena Inverse because it's like she has a reputation. It's that kind of play where you know people have those extreme broad emotions, but you see that and you know it's an antidote from a lot of anime where everyone is everyone is totally stone faced and emotionless and speaks everything in a monotone. Like this is the opposite of that. This is very high energy and you can really get into it.
Yeah. Also, they even like note at one point her nickname is the Bandit Killer, and I think it's the Princess Aaron just goes, "Is that what you call yourself?" And she's like, "No, I don't call myself that." She just has that much of a reputation that everyone else calls her that.
Right,
Technically
and it's
speaking,
justified. She does kill bandits.
yeah, for money. Technically speaking, her official title is Lena the Pink, which she hates.
Yeah.
I too would
'Cause-
hate that name.
Yeah, because that is her official title with the sorcerers.
Yeah, so go watch the Slayer.
Go watch it.
Yep.
Watch some
Go watch it.
Slayers.
Did anyone have any other thing?
Watch Slayers.
All right. Fair enough. We will actually watch more Slayers because we still got half.
Yay.
Actually, I will have one thing. I disagree with the animation being gorgeous. Like it looks
Oh,
generally
yeah.
pretty good. There are some points where it doesn't look great. It is a TV Tokyo show, and TV Tokyo loves to cut them some corners, but
And it's old.
Yeah, it's old, but also I have a very low opinion of TV Tokyo.
It is old and it's not. It can't all be like Madhouse or all that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look bad.
Yeah,
But
no, it looks fine. Like the character designs are good. It's colorful. Everything gets across what it needs to get across. Like, I'm just saying. Like, I will disagree. It's not like absolutely gorgeous. It works. It's good.
see, there's a reason why a lot of people think that it's older than it is. It's because it doesn't look bad. It looks like a standard for a different time. Like it looks good for a different time.
Yeah, it also
Other than
helps that those character
95.
designs were starting to get dated at that point too.
Yeah, it was like at the tail end of when that kind of was in fashion.
It was a slow transition to more
This
more like less stylized characters.
this also just to also or not clarify, but to also point out, this was the same exact year that Evangelion came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is that kind of big round head with those round eyes and the pointy. It's not an eyelash. It's something that comes off of the edge of the eye. It's like
It is an eyelash is what it's supposed to
well,
be.
it's supposed to be an eyelash, but there's exactly one.
Yeah, no, but I'm
It
saying,
comes off
yeah.
the edge. That kind of like style is going to disappear, and you're going to get the porcelain dolls that pretty much dominate everything today.
Please, you forgot the brief era of the Moe Blob.
Not the Moe Blob.
And also where the characters, like one thing I really admired about Slayers is the costumes look good, and they know when to enhance or decrease details. Like if Lena's in a far shot, they'll just leave some of the circles off of her outfit. When she's up close, you can see all of the baubles. Whereas, now that we're in the era of, well, I guess CG assisted, almost every outfit that every character wears has a gazillion gewgaws and lace on them. But they're also very stiff and unexpressive because they can't move them because moving increases the budget. So this is the last gasp of that era of someone, I think, compared to the Sailor Moon. It's and also the characters like leap into frame or jump, or when they talk, they'll close their eyes and their mouths will get really big, and they'll change expression in the middle of it. Like because they're going through 2 or 3 or 4 rapid expressions, which also fell out of style. Now, when you watch an anime, it's maybe people will gesture, but they don't like to do a lot of that squash and stretch that you see in this. So
I
this is
will
very much the end of
disagree,
that
but
era.
this is not the place to get into that fight. I will say though, it is a style itself that is largely lost at this point. It is there has been a general transition away from that super almost cartoony style, and I will agree with that. But yeah,
It
no,
just depends on where
I mean,
you
it works
look.
for Slayers.
yeah, no, I will. Another quick thing I'll say is that once again, it's not just that every character like physically looks different. They also have their own color palettes too with them. Like Gauri's is the yellow, the blonde hair, and the blue armor. Lena's is all warm colors. So like the orange hair and the yellow and pink of her outfit, all that, and just like a lot of things like that that are nice too. Just their own ways of differentiating them outside of just their physical like shape.
I gotta say though, I really like the word gewgaws.
I'm gonna use that a lot more. Gigas. You got too many gigas on. You gotta take some off.
Gewgaws.
Also, um, there is one thing that I did think of that it just is my general thought on the kind of expense of the show is that this actually reminds me of the animation of Bubblegum Crisis, which happened like a decade earlier. Which that's my thing of it. Both of those shows really good looking. One came out 10 years later than the other. And they have, to me, the same kind of style of art. Although I might be slightly,
You are very wrong, but I will not destroy you this time.
yeah. It also, I might have forgotten how Bubblegum Crisis looks. But I don't know. That
You
No,
just
I can see why you would say that because they're probably using the same studios. They're still paint and trace. Digital coloring hasn't come in yet, and they also still have it's still the rounder heads with the larger eyes. But Slayers is way more animated.
yeah.
So I mean, personally, I mean, I would compare this to say Yu Yu Hakusho because what you just mentioned about the palettes, I think, is also true about Yu Yu Hakusho. And the difference, once again, the difference between Slayers and Yu Yu Hakusho is even though they both have strong character design, strong color palettes, and they're both young adult shows with a brisk pace. Once again, Slayers is a comedy show, so they're willing to get a lot crazier and wackier with the animation.
comedy that knows when to get serious, but in general just tries to teach everything with it, like do everything with a certain degree of levity. Yeah,
Yep.
but it knows how to get serious and when to get serious, and I feel like it's able to do that because of the general comedic vibe without being too over the top.
Yeah.
Because like when fucking Shazam appears, like everything gets really serious, and you can feel it get serious, and it's not like it feels out of place either. Like there was a build up to that point instead of it just being constant gags.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I think we have probably,
we have wrung this fucking
yeah.
dry.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see what we've got left in the tank for next one.
Fucking
We just
half hour
played.
of part 2.
We just forget about everything we talked about this episode and just do it all again.
Yay!
If the episode's only half an hour, that means we rank it when we start, and then we spend another 30 fucking minutes
Oh yeah,
arguing
we
about
we
it.
have ranking to talk about, so that'll be another 15 years. Um. All right, yeah, because we are not going to rank it this time because we are going to watch the other half. So before we talk about what we're doing next week, X, is there anything you want to plug?
Nope.
Donut, is there anything you want to plug?
Hi, my name is Donut. You can follow me at donut_secret on Twitter and/or catch me when I stream, which is kind of never. But just follow me on Twitter and you'll get laughs. I love
And
giving
thirst.
laughs. Thirst and laughs. A sea of thirst, as Torpid stated. That's all I got. Come to
All
my
right.
page, see some titties.
All right. Rafferty.
Well, back in the 90s, we were highly influenced by Slayers to make our own game. I worked for sanguinegames.com, and we made a cartoony, funny animal version of Slayers called Iron Claw, and then built upon that, and it somehow turned into Game of Thrones. So I don't know what happened. But anyway, Iron Claw's been around for over 20 years, and you can get it at Drive-Thru RPG, the best websites, and some of the dodgier ones.
All right. Torpo.
Twitch.tv/torpotypist for all your Torpo needs, and at torpotypist on Twitter for whatever godforsaken reason. I don't know why I'm still there.
The bird
And
I
I
us all.
I know.
We'll skip one day from our cage.
We'll never. And I would like to plug just all the holes left in these bandits, please. Think of the children.
Yeah. Well, next week, we're talking about something completely different, going back to our holiday kind of related stuff, question mark. We're talking about the 1992 Pac-Man cartoon.
Say it with like this sense of resignation.
Because I've watched the Flintstones, so I've watched the Pac-Man cartoon. I've watched a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, so I have seen Pac-Man. Also, Pac-Man Christmas Blast. Yeah, so that'll be next week, completely different than this week. So I hope you tune in for that, because that'll be fun.
It's gonna be really good.
It'll be.
Okay.
I see. I was just gonna leave that open, just not actually finish it.
Just kind of let that linger in the air like a bad smell.
Incredibly pregnant pause. My God, it's quintuplets.
There's 4 periods.
Anyway, that'll be next week, so thank you all for listening, and hope you tune in for that one. If you would like to look at the full list of rankings for yourself, please visit r3.ldp.life and go to the Media Delta List tab. If you would like to watch Media Delta's sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can either watch at youtube.ldp.life or by tuning into twitch.tv/LoadToPuzzlo at 7:30 p.m. on Fridays, 2:30 p.m. on Saturdays, and 1 p.m. on Sundays. All those times are from the Eastern U.S. time zone. If you would like to discuss this episode with the community, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which you can do so by going to discord.ldp.life. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you tune in for our next episode.